is Esther Wachuku, and this is the World News at 6. However, here are the top stories. President Tinubu's government backs nationwide protest as minister expresses desire to join rally. Police beat up fire tear gas at protesters in Port Harcourt. Fubara's commissioner addresses allegations of protest in Rivers. Presidency addresses reports of sacking INEC chair. House of Reps sends fresh warning to Rivers Administrator Ibas, gives directives on lawmaking. In another development, Fubara's chief of staff is being pressured to be implicated. Perpetrator of assembly fire discloses. APC governors visit Buhari days after former president denied dumping the party. Yunusa Tanko speaks on Peter Obi's inclusion in long list of politicians set to join SDP. Details now. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led federal government reiterated its support for the right of citizens, especially young people, to protest, acknowledging the importance of a free expression and addressing grievances. However, the government has issued a strong warning against any form of destruction of national infrastructure during protests, emphasizing the need for peaceful demonstrations. Also, the Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, made this statement in Abuja today in response to questions about the protest. Olawande acknowledged that while the government understands the concerns raised by protesters, it is crucial for demonstrations to remain peaceful and not result in violence or destruction of public property. While voicing his support for the right to protest, Olawande also expressed that also, at the time, he would have joined the protest himself. He stressed, however, that while exercising this right, let it not escalate to something else. We will not allow anyone to destroy the infrastructural developments that support our economy and the progress we have made in this country. Olawande further emphasized that protests should be conducted peacefully. He concluded by asserting that protesting is a normal part of any society and we're here to listen. No government is saying you shouldn't protest, but there must be limits and a sense of responsibility. While in Port Harcourt, officers of the Rivers State Police Command today gave the protesters who gathered at the Isaac Borough Park in Port Harcourt a hot chase and fired tear gas at them. VOP News learned that the protesters, who are members of the Take It Back movement, were greeted by heavy police presence when they gathered at the protest venue as early as 9 a.m. over the state of emergency declared in the state. Now, via Monitor television program, the police officers reportedly beat up some of the protesters, including journalists who were reporting the event. The young demonstrators told the policemen who warned them not to hold the protest that nobody can tell us when not to gather. We are Rivers people. Meanwhile, the police public relations officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi has faulted the intention of organizers of the April 7 protest. Speaking via Monitor television station on Sunday, the police spokesman stated that the protest was unwarranted. He argued that the federal government had set out the day to honor men of the Nigerian police force. He also faulted the protest organizers' choice of venue, noting that the venue was a place police would be using for their activities on April 1. However, let's take a listen to the Take It Back movement organizers at the field today while they were protesting in Abuja.
Our rights. Yes. And we have told them also that the IGP of police that is leading the program today at Eagle Square is an illegal IGP of police. Yes. He must leave after 60 years you must of age and 35 years of being in power. Yes. That is the essence of our march today. Yes. Nobody can stop an idea whose time has come. Nobody can stop an idea whose time has come. As we are having this march today, it's happening in Lagos as well. Yes. Yes. It's happening in Port Harcourt. Yes. And these ones are rehearsals. Yes. The time will come where all Nigerians will come out and nobody can stop them. Yes. So we have advised our police friends or frenemies that they should go and tell their Oga that we are going to the National Assembly. But because they no longer serve the people, that is why you keep hearing about, oh, we have a program, don't come out. Our program cannot be stopped by police program. So let them go and make the calls, let them radio to the illegal IGP. We want to move and nobody can stop us.
Nobody.
Rex,
You want run?
go where?
Go where?
You just need intention, bad intention when they get.
Action!
No, it's a police need bad intention to fight.
Yes! We get hungry. Yes! Silence us. Action! Take it back. Action!
No.
Action!
All right, you just listened to the Take It Back movement there, actually calling out the federal government against hunger, against poverty, against insecurity right there. While in Rivers State, the suspended Rivers Youth Development Commissioner Chisom Bali has denied claims of a planned protest in Port Harcourt. Reacting to reports suggesting there is unrest in the state, Bali argued that the peaceful environment in Rivers is a reflection of unity and resolve. The embattled commissioner, while speaking during an appearance lately via Monitor television station, highlighted that the people of Rivers have chosen hope over fear and unity over conflict, remaining calm and supportive of Governor Fubara's leadership. Bali further argued that Rivers State is functioning effectively with ongoing government projects and positive validation from the so-called sole administrator who has taken over the administration's duties. He reiterated that if any protests were truly occurring, he would have been informed as he coordinates all youth bodies under his ministry. Meanwhile, concerning the INEC chair, the presidency has dismissed rumors that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the replacement of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu. In a post on his X handle this afternoon, the special advisor to President Tinubu on digital media, on new media, Ortega Ogra, described it as fake news. He wrote, and I read, disregard any fake news making the rounds about the replacement of the INEC chairman. Any such announcement will come from the Secretary to the Government of the Federation's office or any other official source. Also debunking the rumors, Tinubu's special advisor on policy communication, Daniel Bola, said the rumors are not true. He wrote on his social media, the story trending across media platforms to the effect that Mr. President at official bat has either sacked the INEC chairman or has replaced the INEC chairman is not true and should be discountenanced. Decisions or official acts of Mr. President are communicated through official channels and not rumor mill. Well, you know that on Monday, rumors emerged on social media claiming that Tinubu has removed Professor Yakubu and replaced him with Professor Bashiru Olamileko as the INEC chairman ahead of the 2027 elections. Also, reports had earlier emerged claiming President Tinubu is exploring options to appoint a successor to Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the current chairman of INEC, whose tenure ends on November 2025. According to reports, certain influential figures, including a former South governor from the 1999 political class, are pushing for a candidate who may align with their interests. While Tinubu has not officially endorsed any candidate, the involvement of both external allies and key insiders from the presidential villa in this election process has raised concerns. The report highlights apprehensions that appointing a compliant individual could compromise the integrity of the 2027 general elections. Meanwhile, a fresh warning has been handed down to the sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibokata Ebas, emphasizing that he lacks the constitutional authority to make laws or draft a budget for the oil-rich state. Now, the House stance follows Ebas's announcement of plans to prepare a new budget after the declaration of a state of emergency in the state in March. In an interview on Sunday, the deputy spokesman for the House, Philip Agbese, clarified that the sole administrator does not have the mandate to perform legislative functions under the current circumstances. Also, Agbese further explained that the House of Representatives had already communicated their position on the administrator's appointment and mandate to President Bola Tinubu. He warned that if the sole administrator oversteps his constitutional boundaries, the House will take necessary actions, including the possibility of a vote of no confidence to ensure adherence to the rule of law. The political situation in Rivers State, stemming from a crisis between Governor Simfubara and the Rivers State House of Assembly, had prompted the president to declare a state of emergency in March. This move, however, resulted in the suspension of the governor and the state legislature for an initial period of 6 months. Also, still in Rivers, a situation has evolved. 4 persons who were previously detained in connection with the fire incident at the Rivers State House of Assembly have claimed that they are being pressured to alter their original statements to implicate Edison Ehir, the chief of staff to the suspended governor of Rivers State, Simfubara. Also, reports indicate that the individuals, Chime Ezebalike, Kenneth Bassa, Oladele Lukman, and McPherson Olumini, were in November last year acquitted of the charges after about 6 months in Kuje Correctional Facility. However, speaking at a press briefing in Port Harcourt today, Ezebalike said they were recently contacted by a prominent PDP leader in Obiakpo local government area to revise their narrative. 3 of the 4 acquitted suspects consented to appear on camera during the press briefing. According to them, the request was linked to a wider political scheme allegedly aimed at corroborating claims made in a press briefing by former head of service George Nweke in Abuja. They said crime which were framed and now want them to robe Edison include the fire assembly, the fire that took place at the Rivers State House of Assembly, the gruesome murder of Bako and Bashim, a DPO in the Ahoada area, and an alleged assassination attempt on the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Zamawuli. They narrated their harrowing 6-month ordeal in the hands of security agents and political figures, which began in December 2023. They said there that they were allegedly tortured, denied legal access, and coerced to sign false confessions. One particularly disturbing incident they said involved a 7-member of the Rivers State House of Assembly who visited them with a uniformed officer and pressured them to implicate Ehie. When we refused, they turned to beatings and starvation. They also accused a former local government chairman of offering them bribes, including 200 million naira and overseas relocation for their corporation. These inducements were reportedly offered again during the detention in Abuja, to which some of them had been forcefully transferred. In one case, they explained that a different detainee was allegedly promised his freedom if he identified Kenneth Bassa as an arsonist. They said it is time to speak out, not just for themselves, but for other innocent citizens who may be suffering in silence. Interesting. Now, the governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress have visited former President Mahmoud Buhari. Also, the APC governors visited Buhari at his residence in Kaduna State on Monday. The delegation was led by Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and included his colleagues from Kwara, Abdulrazak Abdulrahman, Kogi Usman Ododo, Ubasani of Kaduna, and others. While in Labour Party with the Obedient Movement, the interim national coordinator of the Obedient Movement worldwide, Yunusa Tanko, has countered the Social Democratic Party 2023 presidential candidate Adewale Adebayo over claims that the Labour Party 2023 flag bearer Peter Obi is among the list of politicians set to join the party ahead of the 2027 presidential elections. While Adebayo disclosed that the SDP is in talks with several politicians and it's ready to welcome them all ahead of the 2027 elections, Adebayo specifically identified Peter Obi and his colleague in the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, as part of the prominent names currently in discussion with the SDP and expected to join the party soon. However, Tanko, a campaigner for the 2023 presidential candidate of the Labour Party, during an interview via a monitored television program, disclosed today that Peter Obi remains a member of the Labour Party until further developments emerge. Meanwhile, the federal government has begun the screening process for candidates nominated for diplomatic roles in a bid to fill the vacant roles for its 76 embassies and 22 high commissions. Nominees have been enjoined to report to the DSS offices nearest to them for security checks. Some have reportedly been contacted to provide personal education and work history. Authoritative sources hint that 2 former southeastern governors, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi and Okezie Ikpeazu, have been screened for the role. The source also said that Sheikh Hussaini, who recently joined the ruling All Progressives Congress, Congress and former presidential aide to former President Goodluck Obele Jonathan Reno Omokri are among the nominees who have also been screened. Also, former Deputy Governor of Lagos State Femi Pedro and former Minister of Aviation Femi Fani-Kayode have already gone through the screening process and have been cleared for their prospective national assignments. Recall that in September 2023, President Bola Tinubu recalled all Nigerian ambassadors, both career and non-career, back home. 2 years into their recall, the presidency in March 2025 said their replacements would be announced very soon. Background checks were being conducted on the nominees with intelligence collected from the screening shared with relevant agencies within the presidency and the legislature. You're currently listening to the World News right here on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. We took a very short break. When we return, we'll head into a news analysis segment while we're joined via the telephone with Barrister Eze Eluche. Barrister Eze Eluche is a political, national and social affairs commentator. He will obviously be giving us some insights into some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. Do kindly stay with us. Barrister Eze Eluche, how are you? Barrister, can you hear me? Barrister Eze Eluche, can you hear me? Hello, sir. All right, I'll try to contact Barrister Eze Eluche once again. In the meantime, the first question I want to ask Barrister Eze Eluche is concerning the recent ambassadorial appointment. Now, we know that ambassadors are meant to be representative. Hello, sir. Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much for joining me, sir. First of all, Barrister Eze Eluche, ambassadors are meant to be representatives of countries wherever it is they are sent to. We have career ambassadors and non-career ambassadors. But there are some names amongst the recent nominees who are meant to be screened that are quite worrisome. And it's quite unfortunate because it actually gives validity to the speculation that this administration thrives on bigotry. For example, Reno Omokri has been one who has been expelling divisive ethno-religious statements on his social media handle. In fact, on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, Reno Omokri deliberately twisted a narrative that what transpired, what caused the civil war, he made it seem like it was caused by a particular ethnic group. This man, all the time via his X handle, spills contents that post a certain ethnic group in bad light, aside from his political situation with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in 2023. Is this the kind of person that is not about unity, that once served this nation? Is this the kind of person that this administration would consider credible to be a representative in any part of the world of Nigeria, with the kind of divisive ethno-religious statements he has made on his platform?
Now, let us have one thing clear. The ambassador represents the government of the day of the country, and ordinarily should represent the people. But in Nigeria's case, ambassadors are always represented the government. When you look at the kind of leadership, of the kind of ruler we have in Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, with the kind of pedigree he has, one is not really surprised that the same man will appoint characters like Reno Omokri and a lot of divisive elements as his ambassadors. So the duty of Nigerians, particularly of the Igbos, who will be in any country that is Reno Omokri character made an ambassador, is to let the host nation know clearly, bring to fore the various anti-Igbo posts or comments the Reno Omokri has been making, so that Reno Omokri cannot be said to represent the Igbos in that country or in the country where it's posted. That is Reno Omokri. For the other characters, mostly failed politicians who are supposed to be undergoing trial for corruption in their various states where they mismanaged, Nigerians should also take out the gauntlet and let the host country know that these people are not representing the people of Nigeria, but rather the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and they should tell them the kind of government that this man is running in Nigeria. It's quite unfortunate that at every opportunity, Bola Ahmed Tinubu tries to export bigotry, tries to tell Nigerians that yes, he doesn't give a damn about the unity of the country. He tries to even align the country by this kind of argument he's making. It's really, really sad.
Barrister Eze Eluche, beyond the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, just 2 days ago, Reno Omotri also made another divisive tweet on X. Aside from Reno Omotri, we have a Femi Fani-Kayode, former aviation minister, who has also been very divisive with his comments. However, lately, though, he has been on the quiet side. And I ask myself, and I'm also asking you, if we have an administration that says Nigeria is one, if we have an administration that the president represents all the more than 300 ethnic groups in this country, and they promote and allow certain individuals to make statements that could cause what happened in Rwanda, or even or even possibly have another reflection of what caused the civil war in 1965 thereabout, then how do we say we intend to progress and move forward? How do we say that the nation intends to grow in every aspect that makes Nigeria its unique personality as a nation?
Now, we should stop deceiving ourselves in this contraption called Nigeria. From the various political appointments he's making, from the appointments in the ministries of finance, in the financial sector, in every sector, even in the paramilitary agencies, Mr. Bola Tinubu has not deviated from being a champion of his ethnic group. He's not talking of national unity in any instance. So, I mean, we shouldn't be expecting gold from a copper mine. We shouldn't be expecting fish from a place where poultry is reared. So the reality is, I mean, those who think that something different will come from Bola Tinubu, is it that they have been blind for the past over almost 2 years, and they have refused to see what this man has done to Nigeria? But what this ambassador designates should know is this. The foreign countries, most of these foreign countries already have a dossier on them. Know who they are. They know who they are representing. They have the track records of these people. So that is why Nigeria will continue to have a very soiled image. When you have characters like Fani-Kayode, for goodness sake, I mean, this is division himself. It's somebody who is a two-faced, double-edged sword. He's what he says today is not what he says tomorrow. Who can he represent? I'm even surprised that maybe we don't have, maybe even if you check well, you may have a list of other corrupt people, maybe drug dealers or whatever, who have been made ambassadors under this government. But I keep on saying, these are the ambassadors of Mr. Bola Tinubu, and they do not represent Nigeria, they do not represent me.
It's quite unfortunate that integrity is no longer something of substance. Barrister Eze Eluche, let's look at the INEC chair. The presidency recently dismissed rumors that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved a replacement. Now, we know that on November 2025, the tenure for Mahmoud Yakub will expire. There are also possibilities that another nomination is being thought of. Well, political juggernauts are actually putting in some names for consideration, nominees for consideration, especially names that would align with their own interests. And some Nigerians and critical, logical thinking persons are wondering, should it be about selecting or nominate an individual that actually aligns with their interest, or an individual that aligns with the interests of the people, where we would have a transparent election in 2027 or any other election that is conducted between now and possibly after 2027?
The reality, again, is that looking at 2023, the general elections and the off-season elections that are taking place ever since, particularly in Edo State, anybody who expects this system to deliver a free and fair elections is simply a joker. Now, the issue is not even Mahmoud Yakubu or not Mahmoud Yakubu. Particularly in a system where even the judiciary appears to have been captured, the security agencies are already in the pockets of the executive. The National Assembly is also going into the pocket of the executive. So whether it changes Mahmoud Yakubu or not is not the issue. Nigerians should learn that if they have to take up the gauntlet and decide when enough is enough. But as for anybody expecting the Bola Tinubu regime to deliver free and fair elections, either they don't understand what free and fair elections means, or has been blind to what has been going on in the past almost 2 years in this country.
Barrister, that statement you made is quite implicating. Are you saying that the president is not somebody that considers free and fair election? Are you saying that one who fought for democracy in this country would be one particular weapon that will be anti-democratic? Are you saying he will stifle a process that entails the independent realism of any Nigerian when it comes to casting their franchise? Is that what you're describing the president as?
You cannot give what you don't have. Anybody who mistakes Mr. Bola Tinubu as a Democrat doesn't understand what democracy means. As governor of Lagos State, he was changing his deputy governors like somebody changed underwears. He had the most number of deputy governors in the tenure of decade of age of governors from 1999 to 2007. So mistaking them, he has been very smart. Bola Tinubu tells the world that the Democrat fought for democracy is all crap. The reality is what Nigerians are now witnessing. Now, this is not a democrat that, in fact, that democratic virtues are stifled. Any attempt at protest, the police begin to issue warnings: do not protest, do not rally. I mean, is that a sign of a Democrat? So for goodness sake, you cannot give what you don't have. A beneficiary of a corrupt electoral process cannot be called a Democrat, because you cannot rig your way and say you are a Democrat. Democrats will have allowed the will of the people to manifest via the electoral process, and not a situation whereby the result, the IRF, the BVAS, and everything is modeled up and announcements are made, and the INEC chairman tells you to go to court, and he's still there as INEC chairman. So, for goodness sake, and calling Mr. Bola Tinubu a Democrat is a misnomer.
Barrister Ezeluche, this particular rumor was so specific. For example, the replacement's name, a Professor Bashiru Olamileko. How precise that a replacement name actually went viral? Are we saying, and the presidency coming out to quickly denounce it, that the speculation is untrue? Are we saying there is no possibility of this particular name mentioned being nominated? Then secondly, in as much as no official candidate has been endorsed yet, all right, there are both external allies and key insiders from the presidential villa who are so involved and concerned in the selection process, which I actually asked you before, has raised concerns. Now, these individuals, regardless of whatever qualifications they have, the fact that they are being selected by certain individuals who are either very close to the president or they have some kind of influence on the president, that means the 2027 general elections is what? How do you define the elections in 2027 then?
The reality is, again, I keep on saying is this. I wouldn't be surprised even if Mr. Bola Tinubu announces his son as the INEC chairman with the system we have now in place. And I'm sure if he even does that, the National Assembly will approve, because they've approved virtually everything he's submitted to them. So with the name of a professor coming up or whatever, Nigerians have realized now that the professor being a professor has no relevance whatsoever with due and fair electoral process. We've had so many professors who have messed up themselves, who have rigged and stolen votes. So we're not scared by mentioning professor whatever, and then they tell us he has so many accolades, he has attained so many heights. The ones that attain higher heights have proved themselves to be criminals. I mean, in terms of rigging of elections. So the reality is this: Mr. Bola Tinubu can go ahead and do whatever announcements he has to make. As I said earlier, the National Assembly will approve. Nigerians should just be ready and prepared to ensure that next time, irrespective of what the INEC of appointed officials in INEC or whatever the military comes up with, we must ensure that our votes count and the person we voted steps in.
Did you say the military comes up with?
That if they don't allow, if they resist the rigging machinery of government, they will suffer. Some will die. But can you imagine how many people have died due to insecurity, due to the violence, due to even ill health, due to the lack of personnel in hospitals in the past 1.5 years? So Nigeria should stop even being afraid of the dead, because we're like the living dead. It's not the land of the living dead. So when we try to bring in people you didn't elect into office, tell them enough is enough.
All right, Barrister, before I let you go, 4 persons who were previously detained in connection with the fire incident at the Rivers State House of Assembly, they have claimed that they are being pressured to alter their original statements to implicate Edison Ehie, the chief of staff to the suspended governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubara. Now, these individuals, I had mentioned their name while I was reading: Chime Ezebalike, Kenneth Pasa, Oladele Lukman, and McPherson Ulumini, were in November last year acquitted of the charges after about 6 months in Kuje Correctional Facility. So during a press briefing in Port Harcourt today, Ezebalike said they were recently contacted by a prominent PDP leader in Obiakpo local government area to revise their narrative. In fact, they actually had to consent to appear on camera during the press briefing. According to them, the request was linked to a wider political scheme allegedly aimed at corroborating claims made in a press briefing by former head of service George Nweke in Abuja. Now, they said the crime which they were framed and now want them to robe Edison includes the assembly fire, the gruesome murder of Bako Angbashim, a DPO in Ahwada area, and an alleged assassination attempt on the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martin Zamawale. They also went through the harrowing experience they experienced while they were in the Kuje Correctional Center. They said one of them came to visit them and told them to change their narrative. When they refused, they tortured them the more. Are we saying that the situation in Rivers, there is a concocted plan to ensure that everything about the administration of Fubara is decapitated, and they need to look for any legal means to implicate him and neutralize him as the governor of the state, with this confession made by these individuals?
Well, these are just confessions made by individuals, like you rightly said, and the other things are speculative, and one cannot really exactly say which of them is true, which is not true. So I think all it requires.
Do you think that in light with how things are, they would come out and make these statements for persons who should be afraid of their lives, persons who have been detained for 6 months? I mean, you would expect that if they come out, they should be confirming or asserting what the former head of the former George Nweke made the last time when he came out to implicate Fubara with the fire incident at the Rivers State House of Assembly and malfeasance, financial malfeasance with 15 billion naira. So are you saying that it's speculative? They should even be more afraid than coming out to actually say what they're saying?
It's actually speculative, and then it requires for more detailed investigation so that we can be ascertained. It happens in Rivers State is far beyond the legal issues. Legality and criminality have been so intermingled and intermixed, and it requires a lot of deciphering to understand exactly what is going on in Rivers State. I will not be able to comment on so much speculations and hearsay.
It was not a speculation. They actually said what they said on the press. It was a press interview.
Those are their own comments. Those are their own comments. You wouldn't know what the other side have to say because so many pros and cons are going on in Rivers.
So you're saying that there is no possibility of these persons being harassed and being induced in whatever way for them to change the narrative to implicate the governor and those who were supposedly his allies, before his suspension, so that there'll be a legal ground for whatever plan they have after his 6 months suspension expires?
No, what I'm saying is that whatever they said should be subjected to investigation, and then so that the justice can come out from this matter. Do
you consider that the investigation process will be objective with the different issues currently going on in Rivers?
Now, that's another ballgame. And when they come to that point, then the issues will be addressed. But because if it's not objective, it will be very, very clear. And it has to be free. If they will be tried, the trial has to be in open court. They should not be tried in a secret environment. It should be open. And usually when a trial is going on in open court and there's a lot of funny things happening, it becomes very, very clear. That's why I said, let the investigations continue and the truth will eventually come out.
Barrister Eze Eluche, I want to thank you so much for taking your time to give us your insight on some of the stories read out on the World News at 6. We sincerely do appreciate your intellectual input on the news.
Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Barrister Eze Eluche. All right, and just before we go, let's take a look at the scene outside Nigeria. A federal appeal court in Washington today reinstated members of the Merit Systems Protection Board and National Labor Relations Board who had been fired by President Donald Trump, escalating fights over Congress's ability to protect federal officials from removal. The 7-4 order from the full U.S. Court of Appeal for the District of Columbia Circuit that again reinstated Kathy Harris to the MSPB and Gwen Wilcox at the NLRB comes amid a whirlwind of litigation about Trump's power over the executive branch of government destined for the Supreme Court. Trump, you do know, fired Harris and Wilcox soon after taking office, and both filed lawsuits arguing that their firings violated a 1935 Supreme Court decision known as Humphrey's Executor versus United States, which protected members of multi-member boards from firing. In issuing the unsigned order reinstating the members, the majority cited the decision Earlier this year, amid firing of numerous officials with removal protections, the Trump administration notified Congress it intends to ask the Supreme Court to overturn the 1935 precedent. And now to wrap up, here again are the top stories. You heard that Tinubu's government backs nationwide protest as minister expresses desire to join rally. Police beat up fire tear gas at protesters in Port Harcourt. Fubara's commissioner addresses allegations of planned protest in Rivers. Presidency addresses reports of sacking INEC chairman. House of Reps sends fresh warning to Rivers Administrator Ibas, gives directive. Also, Fubara's chief of staff is being implicated on what transpired while Fubara was the governor. APC governors visit Buhari days after former president denied dumping the party. Tanko speaks on Peter Obi's inclusion in long list of politicians set to join the SDP. Sheikh Husani, Fani Kaide, others considered for ambassadorial role. That's a wrap on the world news at 6. My name is Esther Wachuku. Good evening. Thank you for listening. And up next is the evening rush at 7. Just stay with us.